welcome back to my channel. Today I am here to do my April reading wrap up. So in the month of April, I read these 5 books. The first one was this one, Don't Let Me Go by J.H. Trumbull. And I bought this book used from Thrift Books and the edges were stained, so I colored them in with black Sharpie because the shit was driving me fucking crazy, the stained edges, and I'm wondering, like, where did this staining come from? I couldn't take it. Anyway, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. This book was about these 2 teenage boys who fall in love, and then life takes them in their own directions. One of them leaves town to go to New York to pursue acting, and when that happens, other things happen. I feel like when I talk about these books, I kind of give like minor spoilers, but any little spoiler that I might give is not going to affect the outcome of the book or anything like that. I just feel like it's not enough to ruin the book. Hopefully. There is a lot of fucking homophobic shit that goes down in this book. Terrible things happen to these boys, but they persevere. You know what I'm saying? So the 2 guys, their names are Nate and Adam. So Adam is the one that ends up leaving to New York for a little while. And Nate takes him to the airport. And that whole entire taking to the airport scene reminded me of when... Anyway, so yes, there was just a lot of good scenes in here. There's a character that comes in like right towards the beginning of the book that I thought was a great addition to the story. I read this book and I really couldn't put it down because I was just so invested in the story. I loved it so much. I thought it was interesting. The pacing was good. It sucks that there's so many homophobic people out there in the world. You know what I'm saying? And in this book, they're in this book. I'd recommend this book to anyone that wants to read a good queer love story. The next book I read was If He Had Been With Me by Laura Nowlin, however you pronounce that last name. Listen, I saw this book all last year. I was seeing this book and the second book that goes along with it, which was the 3rd book I read in April. So I read this one first. It's a love story that ends tragically, and that's not a spoiler. The book starts off like the very first chapter lets you know that one of the main characters is going to die. You know what I'm saying? At some point in the book. Actually, you know the exact date that it happens. It tells you, like, right in the fucking beginning. It's about these kids. Phineas and Autumn. They're not kids. They're in high school. They're kids. So they basically grew up together. They were childhood friends up until the teen years and then high school. And you know how high school kids are. Assholes. You know what I'm saying? Most of the time, they have their little cliques. And if you don't fit in, then you don't fucking fit in. And so there's a lot of that happens in the book. There's a lot of misunderstandings in this book, a lot of miscommunication in this book. You know, it's just nothing major happens in the book, to be completely honest. It's just a story of these 2 people and how, you know, their friendship, how it changed throughout the years. And it's clear to anyone with eyes reading the book that they have feelings for each other. The whole time I'm reading the book, I just felt every time that they shared moments together, I was like, oh God, he's gonna die. You know what I'm saying? And I was bracing myself for the moment in the book when he dies because I thought I was gonna cry. I didn't cry. The page comes and the page goes, and I was like, all right, he's gone. So now let's keep reading and see what the fuck happens next. And then, you know, what happens next is kind of like, oh shit, you know what I'm saying? But you kind of know it's gonna happen because of a moment prior. But anyway, it was sad. It did not make me cry, even though I thought that it would make me cry. The lesson that could be taken from this book would be the following. Say what you have to say and say it in the present moment. You know what I'm saying? Don't wait till later to say what you should just fucking come out and say. Tomorrow is not promised, puñeta. You just don't know. So you should just speak your mind, speak your heart. If you love someone, tell them. Okay? Just fucking tell them. This book, If Only I Had Told Her, is the same story, but told through Phineas's eyes. So this is told through Autumn's perspective, and this is Phineas's perspective. But there's also more of Autumn, like how this book leaves off with what's going on with Autumn at the end. This book finishes that story with Autumn. So you do get to find out what happens next. But you also get the story told through Finn's point of view, which was just so much sadder to me for some reason. This book made me cry. Not like fucking, oh God, you know what I'm saying? No, just like, misty eyed, choked up type shit. It's not a fucking full blown fucking cry. I fucking enjoyed both of these books. And there's also a point of view of Phineas's friend Jake, which is his friend's name Jake? I enjoyed this one more than this one, even though I read this one in like 3 days and this one took me a little over a week or some shit. I enjoyed this one more. I think that they're good books. It's a good little read. It's not life changing or anything like that. And would I recommend them to people? Yeah, why not? Like, there's people out there that are like, oh my God, I was ripped to shreds and I'll never recover. Okay, I get it. You know what I'm saying? I recovered. I recovered pretty quickly. The next book I read, I did not like. I didn't like it. A Density of Souls by Christopher Rice. This author is the son of Anne Rice, and this was his first novel, mystery thriller that takes place in New Orleans. It's about these four friends. It's a group of friends, right? These four friends, three boys, Stephen, Greg, Brandon, and then the girl is Meredith, right? So they're all friends, and then the summer comes, the summer goes, they go back to fucking high school, and they're all friends now except for Steven, who's kind of been outcast. I'm not gonna say anything more about their friendship. You would have to read the book to find out why the outcasting takes place, but I kind of figured why it was, and I was right, unfortunately. Every chapter ends with like kind of like a mini cliffhanger each chapter. So it kind of like leaves you wanting to know like, oh my God, well, what happens next? After a while, the shit got on my nerves. It's like, oh my God, every fucking chapter we're gonna end this way? Like, really? Come on, give me the goods. Tell me what the fuck is going on. Everything comes full circle towards the end. There's a lot of secrets in this New Orleans town, not just with the children, the kids, the four kids, but with their parents as well. Each of the four high schoolers have parents that have backstories, and it all intertwines with them, but then it also bleeds into the kids. And it's just like, yo, I felt like it was just cliffhanger after cliffhanger after fucking cliffhanger until it all comes to a boil one stormy night. But what I hated the most about this book was the very last revelation at the end. And I was so shocked when I read that revelation. And I was like, yo, what the fuck? But then thinking back, I'm like, there were clues. There were clues that this could be. I just never thought. They never popped into my mind. And I'm just like, yo, and you're not going to say nothing? You're just not going to say nothing. That's the craziest part to me. I would say the book is worth reading just for the shocker ending, because you're like, what the fuck? But even then, I don't know. I would never read it again. That's for damn sure. And I wouldn't recommend anyone to read this book unless you like crazy ass shit. I didn't like the ending. I didn't like that last revelation. I mean, everything else, all the other revelations, like the secret within the fucking parents and the secret within the kids, that was okay. But again, that very last revelation was disturbing, shocking, and the fact that the bitch wasn't going to say anything about it is what did not sit well with me. Like, bitch, you're part of the problem. That was it. I'll never read it again. And then the last book that I read was Jim Morrison, American Night, The American Night. I was reading this while I was reading this. So, like, I don't like to read two books at the same time, but this was poetry and, like, just a collection of short writings. So I could read that if I'm reading a novel. The Writings of Jim Morrison, Volume 2. Just basically a collection of his poems, his writings, some of his songs, like the lyrics to his songs and shit. And I love Jim Morrison. I love The Doors. I love the music. I love the movie. Then I read to you one that I have here. And it says, I can't read this. You must confront your life, which is sneaking up on you like a wrapped, coiled serpent. Snail slime. You must confront the inevitable. Eventually, Bloody Bones has got you. I thought that was very insightful. The way that I read it probably wasn't the best. So these were the 5 books that I read in April of 2026. Oh shit, you know what I completely forgot? To show you the books that I read in April of last year compared to this year. So this is what I read in April of 2025. The first book was called Truthers, and it's a story that's based on, it has to do with 9/11 and a girl and her dad and trying to uncover what she believes may or may not have been a conspiracy during the time of 9/11. And it was interesting. Nothing gets resolved. You never find out if whatever. It was all right. It was okay. The next two books that I read in April of 2025 were the continuation of that Touch series that I was talking about in my last reading wrap up video, which was Deadly Little Lies and Deadly Little Games. So it was book 2 and book 3 of that series. So with these Touch novels, you could read them in whatever order you want because each book is its own story and each book gives a lot of background as to what happened in the past books. So you pretty much know what's going on. But there's a revelation in these books. And I feel like the only way that you get the full effect of that revelation is if you read it in order. Okay? So those two books I enjoyed. You know, again, nothing fucking life changing, but just fun reads they were. All right. So those were the books that I read in April last year versus this year. And for the month of May, what I'm reading so far is A Court of Mist and Fury. So far, I'm enjoying it.